Well, I would like to welcome Reverend Kathleen Kerswig, our speaker for today. Reverend Kathleen Kerswig is a Unity minister and spiritual life coach whose mission is to help others discover freedom and create joy while doing so. She became a licensed Unity teacher in 2016, was the spiritual leader at Unity of Central Massachusetts from 2018 to 2021, and graduated with a Master's of Divinity degree from Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute in June of 2022. That was just last year. Mm-hmm. Reverend Kathleen is passionate about sharing Unity teachings and has been blessed with many opportunities to guest speak at a variety of Unity churches, both in the United States and Canada. Her ministry work includes coaching people in recovery from addictions and their family members, and she thrives on helping people focus on developing a daily spiritual practice. All are welcome and included, no exceptions. Please welcome Reverend Kathleen.
Wow. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here with you all. Thank you for the invitation. I'm just feeling it this morning with all of you. So thank you for that. I first want to say that the talk of today is titled Divine Protection, and I'm going to be talking about the prayer for protection written by James Dillet Freeman. However, one of the things that came up for me as I was preparing the talk was looking at languaging. Looking at the languaging in that particular prayer and any other prayer that we might see, or any daily word that we might read on a daily basis or a weekly basis, and what we can do about the language that we read, the language that we are picking up on. Sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. And that may be the case for you as well. So we're just going to kind of look at those two things at the same time. So buckle up, friends. Here we go. The first thing I want to share with you is a couple of quotes I found about protection in general. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that confidence thrives on faithful protection. And St. Ignatius said, may the perfect grace and eternal love of Christ our Lord be our never failing protection and help. Now, those are lovely words, but I want to ask you, do you feel protected? Do you feel protected always? At all times? Maybe you're going through a difficult challenge, maybe now, or you have in the past, or you might be facing one sometime in the near future. And that idea of feeling protected may not be up where you would like it to be. Now, I will be honest with you. Just because I have a reverend in front of my name doesn't mean that I feel protected 100% of the time. It doesn't mean that I'm just all that in a bag of chips, as that saying used to go, right? I'm right there with you. We're all on the same level playing field as far as I'm concerned. I may have gotten some education in this particular area, but really we are all one, and we all have the same capabilities, and we all have the same abilities, right? That those 12 powers we can call upon, they're all ours for the taking. So with that being said, I want to remind everyone that if you start to feel like maybe I'm not feeling protected, I don't know what's going to happen, I have some fear coming up, that's okay. That is part of what I feel is the human experience. And don't beat yourself up because, oh no, I'm supposed to be okay all the time. No, no, no. That's not what this is about, right? One of the most popular prayers in the unity movement is this prayer by James Dillet Freeman. It is called the Prayer for Protection. I have been to various unity churches, and sometimes they call it the Prayer of Protection, but he actually titled it the Prayer for Protection. And he was invited to write something in 1940. Remember, the world was in an upheaval then. World War II was going on. The United States hadn't quite joined in yet, but war was disruptive, etc. And he was asked to write a prayer of some sort to help people in that very difficult time. And so that's what he came up with, was this prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And that's where it stopped. Now, some of you may have heard a version where at the end it says, and all is well. James Dillet Freeman was asked about that years after he wrote it, and he did not put all is well in there. He said he didn't feel like he could do that during a time of war. Right. So somehow, some way it got shifted and was added, and that's fine. You can say it or not. For me, in this day and age where I'm at right now in my life, I do like to say all is well, to remind myself that no matter what is going on around me, I'm still okay within. That's how I interpret it. But that may not work for you. So you can change it up if you like. Um, just as a side note, I was raised in a traditional Christian family, and changing up a prayer was sacrilegious. It was like, you don't change anything ever, ever. So, and here I am. I'm now in my 60s, and I'm telling you, it's okay to change it. Use the words, don't use the word, whatever works for you, do it, right? I'm going to say this as a joke. I don't think God minds. And I know that we don't think of God as a separate being in the sky. However, sometimes it's hard to break through those barriers. If we've been taught over the years to do something a particular way, and then all of a sudden someone suggests to do it differently, it can be a little frightening, right? So I'm just kind of giving you all permission. Change it if you need to. Um, James Dillet Freeman also he wrote the prayer as the light of God surrounds me, etc. But you can substitute the word you can substitute the word us. I have heard the prayer used at different celebrations of life for people who have made their transition. And so the prayer could be said as the light of God surrounds you, meaning the one that has just left us. You can say the light of God surrounds us together as one group. It doesn't matter. The idea is still the same, and yet it might bring up a little bit of a different feeling when we change the wording from me to you to us, etc. If I know a friend of mine is struggling, I might go ahead and use that prayer for them and use the word you. And they may or may not know it. I might just be saying it at home for them, right? But it's a reminder. I use this prayer a lot in my daily practice. Now, many of you may know that as time went on, this prayer evolved even further, and it was the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. My invitation to you today, if you take nothing else with you after this talk, if you forget everything else, try to remember this one part. What does it mean to you when you say, either out loud or within, I am the light of God. These are extremely powerful thoughts. These are extremely powerful ideas. Now, growing up, I was taught to pray a particular way. And there were, I don't know, 5 or 6 different prayers that I was required to say every night on my knees in my bedroom with my mother watching over me, right? And I couldn't get any of the words wrong. I had to make sure that they were correct, etc. But I will tell you that I memorized them and I never paid attention to what I was actually saying, right? The Lord's Prayer, the act of contrition, whatever it was. I just wasn't paying attention. I was rattling them off. And I took that into adulthood with me. And I continued to rattle off these words until one day, I think I was in my mid 40s actually, and I started to pay attention to what I was actually saying. And it was like, wow, these are powerful words. And well, then as the story goes, I found unity, and then the words became even more powerful. And then I was introduced to this prayer. And then I started to really think about what does it mean if I am the light? If I am the light, if I am the power, if I am the presence, what does that mean? And what can it look like? Not what should it look like, because it's going to look different for everyone. But what can it look like? If I am coming from an understanding and a true belief that I am the light, the love, the power, and the presence of God. That's heavy stuff. Good stuff, but heavy. Because it's a big, big deal. As I glance out at the gallery here today, I can tell you that I do see the light, the love, the power, and the presence in every single one of you. But I also know, based on my own personal experience, that looking in the mirror, I don't always see it in myself. So if you're not feeling it, if you're not seeing it in yourself, trust me when I say to you, would I lie? I would not lie to you. When I say to you that you are the light, the love, the power, and the presence, I hope that that gives at least some of you a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling inside, especially since the temperature is getting colder, right? Oh my goodness. Recently, I went to a regional conference. We had our Eastern Region conference for Unity, and I attended a whole bunch of workshops, and each one was better than the next. But there was a conversation somewhere in there, and I don't remember if it was kind of like in a breakout group or if it was in between workshops. But there was this conversation going on about um, old school approach versus new school approach. I don't know how to describe it. There were a couple of guest speakers that, had been around for decades in the unity movement. And there were a couple of people that were invited that hadn't really been involved with unity for a long time, but they had a very powerful message. And so people were starting to talk about that old school versus, new information, new light, whatever you want to call it. And it got me to thinking about language again. It got me to thinking about what works for me. And I feel it's important for me to say this to you too. I would encourage you to think about what language really works for you. When you say the prayer for protection, if you do, when you say it, does it work for you if you simply stop at the light of God surrounds us or the light of God surrounds me? Is that okay? Or do you have to feel the need to add on, I am the light of God, to remind yourself that it's not light coming from a separate being? I will share honestly in my heart, when I hear it just the first half and I don't hear the second half, I add it immediately in my head. because it is not a light that is coming from something separate from me. I was really thrilled to see the prayer for protection. I'm sorry, not the prayer for protection, the daily word, and how you took the absolute word from Paul Hasselbeck and used that, because he is often referring to, instead of saying God, he says the divine. And that phrase, the divine, happens to work for me much better than the word God now. Now, I could change my mind next week, right? I could go back and forth and flip flop back and forth. So don't take any of these ideas as I'm telling you, you have to go there. Um, I'm just curious as to where you might go if you open your minds to questioning. That's what I've learned in unity. That's what I've learned is the highest and best for me is to continue to question. It's to continue to consider other possibilities. I think about being the light of God, the light of the divine, right? There's always light in the midst of darkness. We all have it. It's just a matter of how am I going to share it with you? How are you going to see it and hear it from me? I use my sense of humor a lot to get my message across, right? That's my little way of sharing some light with you. How do you do that? Maybe you go to a grocery store and just smile at a cashier that looks like they're really struggling, right? They're having a rough day, and you just give them a smile and it makes them light up. It's the little things. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to try and worry about how am I going to change the world tomorrow, right? As we continue to do this, and then we spread this word to other people as they see it, and we lead by example, maybe more and more people will join us in doing this. Being the love of God. I am the love of God. There is an unlimited supply of love. Yay. Isn't that exciting? Like I can never go within and find out that my love packet is empty. It will never be empty. It is always there. I don't know where that phrase came from. It just popped into my head. Right? But it's never empty. The other good news about being the love of God is that it is not parceled out according to the valuation of our own worth, right? Because if that was the case, I would never be giving out love because I often don't think highly of myself. I'm very self-critical. Is there anyone else here that might be a little self-critical? Yeah. Um, I am rough on myself, right? So the good news is it's not, well, everybody gets it except Kathleen. That's not it. We all have it. We just have to know it. We just have to remember it. The power of God, right? I am the power of God. There is this creative potential within me that I can share with the world. And who knows where we can go from there? And the presence of God, I am the presence of God. To me, it's about being aware of my true self. I understand I am 100% human, 100% divine. But when I'm in those human moments, to be able to pause, take a breath, and remember, I'm 100% divine. And I'm going to choose to not get caught up in this chaos, or I'm going to choose not to get into this challenge the way I'm being invited to get involved with a challenge, right? I might turn the tide a little bit. I might bring peace to a very chaotic situation. There's lots of possibilities, lots of possibilities. So when we think about this, I am the light, the love, the power, and the presence of God. When we think about this, I remember my true identity. For me, what happens then is that I am no longer as afraid as I was just a moment ago. It doesn't always eliminate the fear completely, but it definitely lessens it significantly. Now, for someone like me who grew up fearful of almost everything, having a tool to use to be able to use it to alleviate the fear that I might be feeling in any particular moment is huge. It's a little bit more challenging for me to equate myself to being divine. When I'm in the middle of a human challenge, my human mind likes to take over, and and I'm reminded of my limitations, etc. But the reminder here is that there is no separation. And that's another very key point here. I am the light of God, and I am not separate from the divine ever. Ever. Even if I wanted to be, I couldn't separate myself. Right? Even if you did not want to be connected to me, you can't. Too bad. We're connected anyway, right? There's nothing I can do to sabotage this connection. There is nothing I can do to change the fact, and this is just in my personal opinion, that we all here, we are the light, the love, the power, and the presence of God. Think about how much energy is behind that statement. We are the light, the love, the power, and the presence of the divine. Sometimes I feel like I'm a coach on a football team, and I just want to say to everybody, okay, team, now go out and show them. Go out in the world and shine that light and show that love and power and presence, you know? The daily word for today, which you read the absolute word beautifully, but I wanted to give a couple of examples of the language that is used, right? Does this mean we take the daily word or the prayer for protection or anything else for that matter? Do we take it and we just, okay, we throw it out because that wording doesn't work for us anymore? Not in my opinion. I think we still use it. It's our heritage. It came down to us, right? James Dillet Freeman wrote it for a reason. I want to use it, but I shifted a little bit to work for me, so I'm reminded. The daily word, the affirmation that Paul used was, "I lean into my faith." And in the daily word, it was, "Faith heals, prospers, blesses, and sustains me." It's it's all in how we individually choose to interpret this. Okay? Choosing to interpret anything. I look at it. If it doesn't quite sit right, I might change it. When a phrase comes up in the daily word that says, "I turn my attention to God," I just say, "I turn my attention to the divine, to the divine power within," whatever works for you. I'm just encouraging you to consider that, because here's the final point I want to make. We choose to interpret everything that comes our way. Everything. So when you get a text message from someone that you're in the middle of a fight with, right? And they text and one word, it just says hello. If you're angry with them for whatever reason, have you ever looked at the text and gone, "Oh, look at this. Now they're saying hello," right? It's the tone of voice that I choose to put into that text. If I really like this person, maybe it's a new love interest or something, and he texts me and it just says hello, same thing, no punctuation whatsoever, right? My interpretation is, oh, he said hello. Oh my goodness, right? Have you ever done that? Right? You've assumed that you know what mood is coming across through the text, and really it's just a bunch of words on a screen, and we're reading the entire tone of voice into that message. Yes? Yeah. So I'm inviting you to consider using the prayer for protection on a more regular basis if you don't already. I'm inviting you to consider wording, languaging. The really good news here, there's no wrong way to do this. You can go, we can have, I don't know how many people are here today. 42 screens are open right now. Okay. We could have 42 different approaches to how we're going to use the prayer, use the daily word, use our languaging, look at it. We could have 42 different interpretations. I guarantee you that not one of them will be wrong. Isn't that good news? It is for me because, I used to be one of those students that had to get A's. Um, like it would really stress me out if I was even considering an A minus. So it was very stressful for me in school. So I find this to be very good news. I find this to be okay, I can't do it wrong, so let me go for it. Right? I'm going to invite you to join me with that. And how are you going to use it later on today and in the weeks to come? See what you see anew after hearing some of these ideas that I shared with you. And so it is. Amen. And now I would like to take you into a short meditation on some of these ideas and see where you go with it. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to invite you to just get comfortable wherever you are and begin by just taking some deep breaths. If you have anything on your lap, now blankets don't count, but if you have something sitting on your lap, just remove everything from your lap and just get comfortable wherever you're seated and start with a couple of deep breaths. You may close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. Ah. And let's explore. May the words that I speak now be the words of your own heart. I am the light, the love, the power, and the presence of the divine. I am aware of my true being. There is no separation, and I affirm with my whole heart that I am open and receptive to all opportunities. I am committed to showing the world I am the light, the love, the power, and the presence of the divine. I am willing to share all of me with all living beings. I am light in expression. I am love in expression. I am divine power in expression. I am the presence of the divine in expression. I am truly grateful to know this, to understand it, and to live it out loud. And so it is. Amen. Before you open your eyes, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths where you are. Begin to feel yourself coming back to this place and this time. Feeling energized. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Welcome back, my friends.